Jdog, and it's the Lace Out Round 10 review. Massive weekend of footy. Beautiful, beautiful, great games across the board. I'm joined by the great man, Jdog. Peps is here. What more could you ask for? Double digits. Just awesomeness across the board. Big fella, how are you, champion? And welcome to the Round 10 review.
Thank you. And it's good to be joining everyone on a what day is it?
Monday. It's Monday. Same night we've been doing it for, well, at least the last few years.
Yeah, look, what a weekend of football. Saturday night, write it off. But let's chat about it.
Yep, lots to talk about. And lots of things to talk about, good and tragic, but we'll get into all of that. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to every single person who joined us live last week. It was probably one of our biggest shows ever, and we're hopefully going to be making it bigger this week because lots of things to talk about. Teams that we thought that were on the rise absolutely shit the bed on the weekend, and teams that we thought that wouldn't even get close or have fallen into a complete heap have miracle wins on the road, and you can't ask for much more than that. Let's get straight into the ladder for the round of games. That is the wrong ladder. That's the ladder. Collingwood on top 32 points. Great win against Adelaide. I think at one stage I was going for Adelaide to take that one out, but they were just too clinical. Are they the team? Are they the team to beat, Jdog? Are Collingwood the ones that everybody has to watch out for and realise that you've got to beat them? Simple as that. Is that it? Or are we waiting for an end-of-year slump?
No, I think Collingwood are legit, and they've got North Melbourne coming up. So prepare for that.
I would say, remember last year, North pushed them right until the last moment, and they screwed the pooch on it. So things can happen. Brisbane Lions stunned by a much better, much more ferocious Melbourne Demons, but they're still sitting second on the ladder. A couple of concerns with them. It's a little bit of no Danaher, no Brisbane at the moment. They're going to have to start working those things out. The Gold Coast Suns, my boys, Jdog, massive test on the weekend, and they shone. They put sunburn on the Hawks. That's how good they were. They are sitting on 28 points with a game in hand, remember, because they had their first game cancelled due to inclement weather. Hawthorn on 28 as well. So Western Bulldogs, are they the best team in the AFL right now? Like, in my humble opinion, I would say yes. I would take them over Collingwood. I just love the way they play. They're brutal the way they are playing at the moment. The highest percentage in the league. We've got the Adelaide Crows on 24. We've got the Geelong Cats on 24. We've got the GWS disappointing against the Wallayalup, otherwise known as the Fremantle Shockers, who weren't the Shockers. They weren't Fraudmantle. They weren't the Wankers with Anchors. They were magnificent on the weekend. We have gone Essendon, or is it season done for that mob? Carlton, Sydney, St Kilda, Melbourne, and now Port Adelaide, all on 16 points. We've got Richmond, we've got North Melbourne, and we've got the West Coast Eagles. One game, 666, the number of the beast, sitting there in 18th position, my friend. I have to ask you a question, and it is simply this. Is the 8 locked in? Are you saying it's locked in?
Am I saying that?
Are you saying that the final 8 is locked in? Because I'll tell you what, Jdog, I said it a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm starting to doubt it.
No. I'm telling you the bottom 4 is
bottom
no
4
finals.
locked in. Wow.
Bottom four.
Yep.
Line through them.
That's it. All right. So, question, Jdog. I'm looking. We've got the top 8, so we're going to worry about them. Let's go through them. Freo, can they make finals?
Yes, why not?
Can Essendon or season done?
Yeah.
Or Essendon
Why
don't?
not?
I don't
Why
think
not?
they can't. Carlton, can they still make finals?
No.
Sydney Swans.
Yes.
Sydney. I have concerns.
They might want to get a bit of a wriggle on.
After this
Got
week.
some injuries.
After this week.
Probably not.
St Kilda?
No.
Melbourne?
No.
And we're not mentioning Port Adelaide.
Well, no. Look, Peps, I won't talk for St Kilda, But I would say, do you see both of our teams winning 9 of the next 14?
Yes. And I wouldn't have said that 5 weeks ago.
Get
And
I'm hanging
I'll be
up.
honest.
I'm hanging up.
I'll be honest, and I'll tell you why. The only reason is if you have a look at the teams that we play, I think there's only 4 of those games are against top 8 teams. The rest of them are all like out. We've got pretty good double ups coming along.
So
I'm okay. I'm okay.
So hang on. You have won 4 games to this point,
We're one
and you
game
are
out.
confident in your team winning 9 of the next 14.
Yeah, I am. Because we play West Coast. We play West Coast and we play North again.
Crazy shit on this
We
podcast.
play you, so there's 3 wins. We play St Kilda this week. Next week, there's another win there. I wasn't saying it, but I just like the way on the weekend. It was a great game of football. This is Lace Out. This is not the Melbourne show. I know people might say that, but it isn't. Let's get into some of these results because I need to hear what you thought about what happened on the weekend, big fella. Got to go all the way back to the Thursday night Gold Coast versus Hawthorn. Belter of a game, this. But geez, the Gold Coast, how good are they right now? How good are the Ds? Jdog, the love machine, my brother, he's written out to you, Jdog, $17 for the Ds to make the top 8. Value. Even he says.
Can I just tell your brother that unfortunately Chris has been telling me this before the show started. Delusional. Peppers, delusional. All right. So Hawthorn's Suns.
Yep.
Hawthorn didn't bring 3 to 4 goals with them. They left some players out. So, I mean, well done, Gold Coast. You're not getting my claps yet.
That's fine. I'll give him claps. Raul Anderson. What about? Did you see the new step ladder brought out by Bunnings? It's been everywhere. The new James Sicily step ladder. Apparently, it's going gangbusters up there in Gold Coast. Everybody likes to step on the Sicily. How about those marks?
Poor sis.
How about those marks? Jdog.
Poor sis.
No, not poor sis. You cop what you reap what you sow is what the old classic terminology is, and he is going to cop it. No, love it. Absolutely love what they're serving up there at the Gold Coast. And look, I reckon they're going to be playing finals this year. They're simple, and they are top 4 bound. Sydney versus Carlton. I did hear a rumour that Carlton were going to be leaving the AFL and were taking the club and joining the United States NHL, National Hockey League, because it's better suited to the way they play, where they only play 3 periods than 4, and it's better suited to their game. So just perfect example on the weekend. They got 3 quarters in, and that's it. Cue in the rack. Let's go. We finished. And Sydney, Isaac Heaney ran over the top of them at Sydney. What about Brody Grodney's goal on the run? Oh, where was that when he was at Melbourne?
We spoke about Brody Grodney the week before, saying how the Goldie made a mess of him in the Essendon game, and Grundy was back to Grundy.
Yep.
But yeah, Heaney,
Yep.
elite, double elite.
Yeah, it's going to be good this week, isn't it? D's versus Swans at the G. Can't wait for that one. But yes, Carlton, a lot of questions to be starting to ask. Who would you take, Curnow or Mackay? I'm throwing it out there again. Who would you take, Curnow or Mackay?
Curnow.
See, I'm still with Mackay. Still absolutely like Mackay. All right. Collingwood versus Adelaide. Belter of a game, this one. Adelaide had their chances. Rankin screwed the pooch. 2 set shots. Missed them. Missed everything. Had flashbacks to Bailey Fritsch in the 2022 semi-final. Yeah, no good. Absolutely no good. So, missed everything. Could have won them the game. It would have put a bit of a dampener on Collingwood, but Collingwood are just doing everything right now that they could possibly do. They are the best team. They are the best team going around, bar none. And outside of osteoporosis, I can't see them dropping too many more before finals. And then when finals start, anything can happen.
Well, I think for that game there, I think it was great to see Adelaide push them so far they did, because people sort of doubt Adelaide. But they played Collingwood at the home deck.
Yep.
In not great conditions, and they pushed them right there. So snaps and claps to Adelaide. Good job.
Yep, they were really good. It was a really good game because it was back and forth. Collingwood got out in a stretch. They crawled it back, and they got so close. But Adelaide just have a few things to tweak. Unfortunately, they did sub Walker out from a tactical perspective. So they're going to have to rethink, will that three-pronged attack continue to work, or are they going to have to maybe go 2 talls and 4 shorts? I think that's some work for Stevie.
Depends on what the
But they are a
brings.
fit team, and it wasn't the greatest conditions either as well, too. So I'd like to see Adelaide on a beautiful, clean, crisp day, which normally happens towards the back end of the season. So that'll be pretty cool. Hey, tell us what happened with your mob, Port Adelaide and Geelong at the Adelaide Oval. I know you got, well, this happened.
Bags, we love it when they're kicking. Bags, it's gotta be 6 or more.
Jezza Cameron just comes out with a lovely 7. That's what he did that's what he did for his team. And this is what the 23 who ran around for you did.
Oh my God! They killed Kitty! You bastard!
Not much more to be said.
No, it was Port Adelaide's 22 versus Jeremy Cameron, and unfortunately went down by 4 points.
Yeah, not good.
Not good.
Not good. Yeah, just
Look,
Geelong doing Geelong.
76-point loss, showdown loss before that,
Yep.
and then a 92-point loss against Western Bulldogs. If there is ever a blueprint example of why succession plans don't work, this year.
Yep.
This year.
Yep.
I don't know why clubs persist with this bullshit.
Yeah.
Just if you're moving them on, do it.
Yep.
Do it.
Well, let's get into that in a moment.
Yep.
I'd love to hear a little bit more of an opinion on the succession plans in just in a moment. Hey, Western Bulldogs versus Essendon. I was sitting at home, and I think I was watching. I think I was watching a movie or something at that particular stage because it was just, it's Western Bulldogs, Essendon, and I was absolutely gobsmacked when the message came through saying, "Are you all right, boys?" on the WhatsApp. Boys, you okay? What's going on here? And then I flicked the score and I saw it was 60-3 or 60-9. I'm going, oh my. I thought this game would be close. I didn't think there'd be much in it. But geez, didn't the doggies just say, you know what? All right, Essendon, you've had your little time in the sun. And now we're going to put the foot on the throat. They were hard at it. Ed Richards is, like, I know I speak about him virtually every week because he's a ginger and I love him. But since Bontempelli's come in, it's just added, it's almost, Bontempelli is now the cream. He doesn't have to be the brutal inside player. He doesn't have to be the extractor. He doesn't have to do everything because he has got Dunkley. Oh, not Dunkley. He's got Kennedy. Would he almost be, you'd almost say he'd be one of the recruits of the year. Carlton gave him away for a bag of chips because they reckon he wasn't, good enough for the team. He's just slotted in nicely there. You got Fraser just doing his thing. Libba's having an All-Australian year. Richards will definitely be an All-Australian, you'd say. You've also got then the Bont just coming in over the top. They are just in great form. Up forward, they've got multiple kickers. Rory Lobb, as we know, down back has just been an absolute godsend to them. They are in cracking form. I just hope they don't peak too early, but they are doing everything right. And you might as well pitch them in for wins any time that they play at Marvel. The speed on that they get off that deck it's hard to keep up with.
Yep, told you. Bontempelli is the best player that we are going to see for a very long time. Can go and just playing the second to third forward role.
Yep.
And how bloody dangerous is he as a second or third option? He's just the best. I just love him. I love the man.
I love him. I love him. I just love him. And he owns a milk bar. Like, he owns a milk bar, Jamie.
That's so Western Melbourne.
That's just him. Hey, Richmond versus North Melbourne. I was at a 50th yesterday afternoon. Happy birthday, Kath.
Did you miss? You missed a game.
Wait a second. GWS Fremantle. Sorry, yes, GWS Fremantle. Raise your hand.
Where the hell was that?
Raise your hand if you picked. I don't even think Freo picked this. They've had 30 scoring shots. I don't think they've had 30 scoring shots combined for the last 3 weeks. Like they
Unbelievable.
and I reckon that scoreline has flattered them as well, because that was 40 plus points at one stage. Well, that was an absolute shellacking that they delivered to GWS, who I thought were going to run over Fremantle because of the putridness they showed the week before, and then having to go all the way across to the other side of the country. I think it's almost the longest road trip in football, to go out to Halal Snack Pack Town and get a GWS who have been playing okay football. They haven't been ripping it apart as they've been before. But they didn't even serve up a lick of anything, Jdog. Like,
No.
nothing.
Nope.
They just got
Nope.
smashed. And I think it's been a while coming, but it was good to see Shy Bolton have a game where he just tore it apart, took him by the throat and just dominated. Absolutely loved to see that. So it was awesome. Couple of questions raised for GWS, I would say. But Fremantle, still not convinced, because how can you win in GWS town, but you can't even win on your home deck? That's a little bit too flaky for me. So then, yes, the Richmond North Melbourne game, I was at a 50th and I missed it. And we were watching the game back and forth because they were North Melbourne supporters. And I think whilst they were just finishing up a little bit of the speeches, we just happened to be finishing up a little bit of the last quarter. And it was great. A great win. A beautiful win by North. Even though I did pick Richmond, I was really happy for them because North have been okay the last few weeks and they just needed to get that win. But from a Richmond perspective, you can hold your heads up high, because if you look at those two teams playing, yeah, they're lower on the ladder, but it was a great contest back and forth. If you haven't had a chance to see the highlights, yeah, it was
close all game.
It was close all game, and that's what you want. I didn't even get to see this game until I got to watch the replay, being Brisbane versus Melbourne. Didn't pick them. I thought we would lose. I wouldn't say easily, but we would have lost. The only thing that I had is that we've had some great games up there recently. We had Lightsgate, if you remember that, when the power went out and we had lost the lights. We also had the game later on in the year where Danaher beat us based in the last couple of minutes, and that sort of screwed the pooch on that one. We've also had the great game 2 years ago, and you remember this one, great man, where I left the game early, 16 minutes into the last quarter, and Melbourne kicked 4 goals in 7 minutes. They got Melkshamized, and again on the weekend they got Melkshamized again. He is everything that football club needs in front of the ball, down in the forward line. He leads it. He can mark it. He can kick it. He just needs some more support with some big hands. Hopefully it's going to be Van Rooyen as we move on. Confidence is down a little bit at the moment, but it was great to get a win, and it was just an across the board great victory. Tommy Roker was on there saying, "Peps, you've got this. You've got this." My phone packed up. I couldn't even see the end of the game. So, yeah, it was absolutely awesome. And Brisbane, a couple of questions. No Danaher. What are they going to do? How are they going to handle it? I'm not too sure, Jdog. What you think about that?
They're sitting second. I think they're okay.
You think they're okay?
Yeah, I think they're okay. You're allowed to lose a game of football.
Jdog, they almost lost last week to the 17th place team, and they lost this week to the 15th place team.
I hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
But winning is still winning.
Wasn't yesterday. And West Coast versus St Kilda. Were you surprised?
No.
No. I think I might have predicted this as my upset for the weekend. Because West Coast haven't been playing bad footy over the last couple of weeks, and St Kilda are just flaky. They are flaky I don't know.
When it comes to St Kilda, nothing surprises me. Honestly, nothing surprises me. I'm not even a supporter of theirs. I told you, Peps, we've had this conversation. Would you rather be a Port, a Melbourne, or a St Kilda supporter right now? And St Kilda takes that cake hands down.
Where are they?
You wouldn't want to be a supporter of theirs.
Where are they sitting, Jamie? Where are they right now? They're in the friend zone, mate. They are in the friend zone. They're not contending for top 8. they're not bottoming out. They're just not doing anything, and they're going to spend $1.7 million a year on TDK. I think he's when they've got Rowan Marshall, who's actually playing pretty good footy.
I don't know.
They went back to shit. They went back to shit Kilda.
Fair. But I almost feel like if you're not one of the big 4 clubs in Melbourne, then you are almost an interstate club.
No.
You can see yourself an interstate club because players don't want to come to you unless you're prepared to pay a huge money for them.
But that's every club. But who are the big 4 clubs? Who are the big 4 clubs? And that's the question I'll ask you now. Who are the big 4 clubs in Melbourne?
So I'd say Collingwood.
Yep.
Carlton.
Maybe. They're a big club from a supporter perspective, but are they really a big club? Like, what have they done? They're big in
as in Carlton. No, but they still pack a game every week. They pack a game.
They don't do anything. Okay, who's next?
I'd still claim. You claim Geelong as a Melbourne club. I claim Geelong as Melbourne based.
They're not one of the big 4. Well, the traditional big 4. I'd say Geelong are one of the big 4. I'd almost say that they're close to being the number 1 team.
I'd say that Hawthorn are back in the big 4
I'd say Hawthorn are probably in the big 4. I'd say Essendon are not.
And it's hard to go past Essendon.
Well, they're not.
Because
Essendon don't do anything.
Games.
Essendon, once again, they don't do anything, Jamie. And there's some massive news that Caro broke. Some interesting news Caro broke. And I've got some news for you as well, too, that I got hot off the press last week, which involves one of your players, which I'll go into very, very shortly as well. West Coast. Great win. McQualter gets his first one. I did want to quickly bring up I remember when we first started, we spoke about Troy Selwood. If you remember, we spoke about this, and just, you can't imagine what people have gone through, and I can't imagine what he's going through and his family are going through and everything along those lines. But one of the things that I did say with you is just ring someone. Like, I know it's tough for blokes to do, but just pick up a phone and call someone. Sometimes it's even hard to do that. But for the news for Troy, to think that, only less than 3 months later, Adam passes away. And when you got young families and young kids and these sort of things, it just puts a bit of a shock. It makes you look at your kids and look at your friends and go, shit, thank God I get to do this with you every week. I've had my issues over the years, which you know a hell of a lot about, Jdog, and I'm wrapped. I can give you a call at any time. I've got mates left, right, and centre I can call if I need something, that'll put their hand up and go, and everybody thinks that people don't want to hear it. You'd be quite surprised how many people have got the same type of things going on in their life as you have. So hopefully it's a bit of I wouldn't say a wake-up call, but just one of those things that if you're not feeling great, just put your hand up and say, I need help. A chat, whatever. Call Beyond Blue, call Lifeline. Because the last thing that we want to be doing is doing the show with only one of us, or hearing tragic news on our chats coming through, or having to, address what happened on the weekend with the whole AFL community going through another rough week. I
agree. It's beyond AFL. It's just a tragedy. It's just tragic.
Yeah, it's tragic. And, if you think about it, we had Robert Walls last week. That was somebody we didn't even get to chat about. And he was just, my wife doesn't watch a lot of footy, but they loved listening to Robert Walls talk football because it was from the heart, it was passionate, and it was real. There was no fluff. When he and Quarters were on Channel 10, when they first took the footy on, it was just the best. Then you have Andrew Cracker, you have Troy Selwood, you have Adam Selwood, you have Adam Hunter. It's just too many, Jdog, too many, too close. And you got to throw Peter Bazzusto in there as well too. Like that's 6 so far this year. And if I've left anyone out, I apologise. But we want to be talking about the good things in football, not tragic stories like this too. So it doesn't cost you anything to say, I need to chat. Simple as that too. So All right, let's move on to something a little bit more happier, which is we've got a bit of a rising star, Jdog, and it's this young man, Cooper Lord from the Carlton football team. Now, Jdog, when it comes to Cooper Lord, he had beautiful 19 disposals, 4 marks, 3 tackles, unfortunately in the loss to Sydney on the weekend. Now, I'm throwing this one out to you, and this is no disrespect to Cooper Lord, but it's sort of got my mind. When they're picking rising stars in losing teams, have they sort of got to the point they're going, okay, we just need to really find people who have been okay. They're probably not going to win it, but we just need to find somebody who sort of fits the criteria this far in.
Ooh, Peps. Can I go deeper on this?
Yep, go for it. Go deeper.
What? Let's look at why that's the case. Basically, I'm going to blow this apart for you, Peps. I'm not going to blow your brain, but I just want to give you an insight of my brain.
Strap
Is the
yourselves
reason
in.
why that's happening is because the top clubs aren't fucking with the draft. They're giving away their top picks to these low clubs anyway. So that's why we're seeing all these young kids coming through. They're all playing for the bottom teams. They're not going to the top winning teams. So is that why, Peps?
No, but I'm just saying that if you have a look at the first 6 weeks,
Yeah.
your
Look at
rising star win is
yeah.
probably going to come out of those first 6 weeks.
But now we're getting the dregs.
Yep.
They're all with the shit. They're all with the
No
shit
disrespect
clubs.
to these guys, but it's just like
No.
who had some semi decent stats, and we'll give them a nomination.
I said that last week. I think 20 possessions got you a riser.
Yep.
Nomination.
Yep.
I think it's. I don't know, Peps. I don't know. I can't remember back into like when I was really into the draft, when like your Bonton Pallies and that. I remember the top being proper elite. The bottom part, I can't really remember.
All right. So far we've had Sam Lawler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tick.
AKA No Jocks. Connor O'Sullivan from the Cats.
Yep.
All right. Harvey Langford from the D's.
Mm-hmm.
Levi Ashcroft, Lions.
Yep.
I think it's Archie Roberts from the Bombers.
Would be. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Murphy Reed from the Dockers, who kicked 4 goals in a quarter against Geelong, and I think the first 4 goals in his first game against. Yep. Xavier Lindsay from the D's.
Yes.
And then you got Hugo Garcia from the Saints, who got blasted by Ross Lyon, and then came out and got the Rising Star next week. So was that fit your
And
criteria?
then Nate Caddy.
And then
Another
you've got Nate Caddy.
wrestling kid.
Interesting, isn't it? And now Mr. Lord as well too. So good luck, young fella. Hopefully you have a great career. You'll be enjoying a free lunch towards the end of the season. Not too sure if you're going to win it, but just enjoy the day with the boys and tell the ladies that you are a Rising Star nominee. All right. I've got some news for you. Ready for this?
Ooh.
Yep. And just looking for something.
Found it?
It's time for Around the Grounds with Laceout's #1 newsbreaker. Me. Right. So, I heard a massive rumour on the weekend from a very reliable source about one of your players. The man who likes to spread toast. Zach Butters
Yes.
has all but come out and said he wants to go to Geelong.
Okay.
Now, you're looking quite calm on the screen right there. I honestly think that you are just like robo-copping under the table right now, my friend. But yes, he's told someone pretty close that, yes, he wants to come back to Melbourne and play at Geelong.
Okay.
Right. So that's the first thing. The second one is that Harley Reid will be coming back at the end of this year. He basically told someone that yes, he wants to get back to Melbourne at the end of this year. He's not going to wait till next year. This year he wants to get back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so that's the first two that I heard. The third one has just come out on the agenda setters. Caro has come out and said that Paul Little, the ex-presidente of the Essendon Football Club, wants to put his hand almost back into the role again and bring in James Hurd as coach.
Oh, back into Essendon.
As coach.
That is interesting.
Thoughts and feelings?
I haven't heard of any Essendon board level scraps at the moment.
Well, you're not having board level scraps, but if the guy comes in and says, I want to come back and
I think you know what, my personal opinion on this
Yep.
is the board need to go thank you, but no thank you. Because all this does is it just breaks up the solidarity of what the club is building. If you start having these people coming in and side groups and this and that, it just kills stability at any club.
Yep.
So thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, but he's the big guy. He was there for many, many years.
He
and he wants to
was
come back.
the big guy.
He still thinks he is the big guy.
Well, that's the problem.
Essendon
Someone has
supporters,
to say,
he's
"You're
still
not
the big guy.
anymore. You're no longer the big guy, Mr. Little."
Rocco Tomasi, great comment. Bombers are 5-4, and they are talking about bringing back James Hurd.
Exactly.
That's Essendon for you. They are the new Richmond. They don't just eat their own. Actually, they do the opposite. They don't eat their own. They just eat the person so they can bring their own back in.
I'm just interested to know from an Essendon perspective, what do you think you're going to get the second time around from James Hurd?
I don't know.
Is it because he speaks quite calmly and quite well on the footy show?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to get?
I don't know. I think they've just got this turbo chubby that he is the man, that he is the guy that when push comes to shove, that they want running the club.
I am not in doubt about having people in positions like that. For example,
but it's been 13
the
years.
Ricky Pontings, the Langers, they're all elite. And when they speak, they make sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you want them back at your club, leading that club, when you're going all right.
And they've also got 4 picks in the mid-season draft as well. So, where do you see that?
What's Chris Scott? How long has Brad Scott been there for now? 2 years? 1 year? I can't remember.
This is his third, I think.
Oh, I can't remember.
It's his third.
Okay. So they're so desperate to play finals, they're looking like they could play finals this year, and they're willing to throw all of that to have a new presidente and a coach who never got them to the finals.
He technically did get them to the finals, but they then got kicked out of the finals. But that's just, I don't know. Essendon...
He took on the role in 2023. This is his second season.
23?
Third season, but he's been a 2 years, sorry.
They just people just want him to they don't like Brad Scott. They don't like him.
But they extended his contract this year until 2027.
But maybe
it makes zero sense.
Maybe Mr. Little with his big pockets. Boo!
I don't know. That sounds like a real St Kilda move.
Oh, because their last one worked out beautifully, didn't it? Let's get rid of you, rats, because we're going to get the guy that's going to take us to the promised land.
We just
Who
signed
hasn't done-
you
and we
5 weeks
just-
earlier.
And he's just like, thank you very much. Take the cash, go somewhere else.
Mental. But in terms of the Zach Butters,
Mm.
I'm all for it. Geelong, you just do what you do. Geelong, keep being the villain of the AFL. I applaud you if you land that.
Yeah.
I applaud it. I'm not even jealous. That's one of the most creative, best things we've ever seen in the AFL. That's going right back to Vizzy and Paper Bag.
What, free agency?
No.
Oh, Geelong.
If Geelong land Butters,
If they get Butters or Oliver, you have to sit back and go, how do they do it? Like legitimate, how do they do it?
you can't hate the player.
I can't hate the player, but I can hate how players who leave on $1 million plus a year end up going to a club that has goodness knows how many players on truckloads and can fit them in.
Peps, they know the game, they know how to play it, and they're playing it better than anyone else in the AFL.
There's 2 words for you. 2 words that just dominate Geelong and how they get them in and keep them there. It's actually 2 of them. Property developer and cotton on. You put those 2 together and you can do anything down in Geelong for practically nothing.
If Butters goes to Geelong, that is going to be the greatest week of footy media. Big footy will melt down first off. Like that servers will go offline. That's going to be a fire extinguisher.
Yep.
Volcano could actually blow an artery off the heart and could drop dead on TV. It'd be amazing. It'll be amazing.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
I can't hate that.
Oh, I can't hate that. Oh, I couldn't hate it. But imagine it happened. Imagine if it happened. Butters going. So
I know you'll flip. You will flip.
I
I'm
will-
okay with it.
Well, you're a Port supporter. But
I'm
just
okay
think,
with it.
I-
I know the Butters are probably going to leave anyway
I just think it would be unbelievable if he left. Unbelievable.
after the investigation that was headed up by the AFL, who was once an employee of the Geelong Football Club.
Is seriously the AFL the most inept run place?
If you
in
can't
sport?
laugh, what are you going to do about it?
So, we talk every week about funny things that happen. Did you hear in the Brisbane game? And one of the commentators said this. He goes, "What's happened to our game? We stopped the game because a guy's shoelace came undone. But if there's a concussed player on the ground, play on."
Oh, that is a dumpster fire.
But they've done it.
Laura Kane and the AFL Umpires Association both just like, that was wonderful.
I was like, no, they did wrong. Oh, actually, no, they didn't do anything wrong. No, it was right. Actually, no, sorry. They couldn't find enough buses to throw each other under.
That's great.
It was bus after
great.
bus after bus. Cracking big marks on the weekend too. Like the Specky was back. Jed Walter,
It's back.
Ben Long, just some good. Bukakamas even Mabiol Chol, like he's playing some really good footy down there at the Hawks as well too. So Snags Higgins,
Yes.
is he the best small forward running around in the league right now?
No.
Who is
Rankin.
small forward?
Rankin's a
No,
small forward.
no. You've got to predominantly play as a small forward. Rankin plays on ball too much.
Willie?
He's second on the Coleman, Jdog. Ben Long's come in.
Yeah, I can't get that. That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But also, you have a look at the Wizard, Watson, Nick the Wizard Watson. He was the only reason that was keeping Hawthorn in that game against Gold Coast in that first half last week.
Yeah.
It was immense. You know, so I'm going to give the guy a bit of
Forget about the Wiz. I don't know why I forgot about the Wiz because he's the Wiz. Like he's got the name.
No, he's not.
I forgot about him.
No, shut up. He's not the Wiz. He's just Nick Watson. All right? He's not a wizard. That's Jeff Farmer. The only one and shall be forever wizard. Get your own nickname.
No, not true. Not true.
Why?
Because Kappa's the Wiz. Kappa's the
No,
original
he was
Wiz.
the Wiz, not the wizard. The Wiz.
Yeah, I'm saying the Wiz.
Yeah.
I'm not calling him the Wizard.
No, his nickname is the Wizard. He's not the Michael Jackson musical, The Wiz. It's just the Wiz.
He's better. Well, okay.
He's a lot
okay.
better
Nick Watson
than
is
that.
the
He's
better
a lot-
Wizard.
Yeah, he's a lot better than that. Rightio. Questions? What have you got on your mind before we get into the sort of back end and we wrap this thing up before we get into this week's games?
Nothing in particular. Once again, not making it political, but I still think the football jumpers during the Doug Nichols round are just all elite.
Oh, we spoke
I want
about
to.
yes,
This is
they
why
are.
I want to see different jumpers just come in. We're allowed to have these. We're allowed to have these other colors. Let's play with it. It was so good.
I must agree. It's isn't it fascinating though that some teams put a lot of effort into it and some not as much. I've just noticed that a little.
Yeah, they might put a swirl through their side sash or something.
And
Yeah.
so I know we don't talk about clash jumpers as much because we've been here for 8 years and we could go over the top. But when I look at the Indigenous jumpers and the Anzac jumpers, they bring those two. They are amazing, right? But and then I look at what Gold Coast have done with a couple of their jumpers. That pink and grey or pink and black version that they had when they played in Gather Round, that was mint. The GWS,
good.
yeah, the GWS have their grey version with the gold with the orange G, and everybody loves an orange G. That looks Mickey Mouse as well too. I know my mob have the reverse jumper back from the 1980s or 70s and 80s when colour television first came in. That's been magnificent, but they also brought in back the 90s Demon Head jumper last week. So I think there's some clubs that are really, they're willing to have a crack, but there's like Collingwood, black and white. I know that's your colours and no one cares except for Collingwood supporters. But why are they so precious not to try something different? St Kilda have a crack. I like St Kilda's always seem to have a bit of a crack with theirs.
Do you know who I love?
Who?
Freo does not get enough call out for how good their jumper is, and all of their jumpers look good.
Yeah.
The purple, the white, or the white with the purple, the Indigenous jumpers, they just always look wonderful.
But it's a simple jumper. Even like yours is done by what, a 12-year-old girl came up with the new Port Adelaide jumper. It looks magnificent. But I just think that when it comes to clash jumpers, it needs to be. I think the AFL pander to the clubs a little bit too much. And they're not putting their foot down and saying it needs to be this.
The cash for clubs. If you bring out another jumper, you're going to sell another 30,000 of them. That's cash.
I know, but it's. What about even like the Brisbane Bears jumper from a couple of weeks ago? Like that was. I know no one likes it, but to watch it and see it, it was just like, how good is that? Like,
Yeah, that was hot fire. That one. That was hot. That was shit on fire.
And I like that. And so I just think that clubs need to just check the ego in at the door and go, we're here for a business decision.
Have some
and
fun.
like have some fun with it. Have some fun with it. Because in the EPL, clubs have 4, 5 divisions of kits. They don't care.
No.
No.
And supporters buy them. They buy all of the colours for the 2025 season.
Why not? You're going to buy them. Have a look. I've got about 6 or 7 sitting over there of Melbourne jumpers throughout the years. And
You got your stock one. You got your stock one. Your reds or whatever colour you want to be.
you've got your 7 iron.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But there's some different ones coming on.
Exactly. And you get one that you go, oh yeah, I like that. I'm going to get it. I've got one with my name on it. My actual name on it. Pepper Family, written on it. Yep, it was a commemorative jumper in 2021 during COVID.
I think I remember that.
Yep, I've got that one
yeah.
sitting there. Perfect. Awesome. And they actually wore that in a game. Like, that's pretty cool. I've actually played in a game of AFL footy. So I just wanted to get a little bit creative because they have to start really looking really business-like than just colours. Because, you know, if I was a big club like Collingwood, you know that your supporters would buy it. You brought that up and I went, oh, yeah, good point. Hey, games this week. We're starting to get into getting a little bit colder. I don't know if any of you, I don't know if they're in Queensland, but I know down here in Melbourne, we had a bit of frost on the windscreen this morning as I
It's freezing.
took the kids to school. But as the day got under, if that's a word, it got a little bit nicer.
Underway?
Underway, yeah, underway.
Underway?
Underway. I'm going to drive to Cheltenham tomorrow. It's going to be a lovely drive. Another hour and 10 minutes.
-1 in the morning.
Oh,
Prepare
classy.
for that.
Hey, let's have a look at round 11. Jamie, just when you think, all right, the game is not going to get any better. Like the weeks of football. Like last week was a cracking week. Let's just start it off with a bit of Geelong versus Western Bulldogs. Thursday night, down there at the Cannery. Fucking not doing the dishes that night, Dale. You can take the kids to swimming. That is going to be elite. It's going to be elite. But there's no danger. He's going to be out. So, might pick the doggies for that one. I reckon that'll be a nice one. Essendon versus Richmond. Dream time at the G on a Friday night. I don't even think dream time at the G has ever been on a Friday night. It's always normally a Sunday.
I like it, though. I rate it. It's a standalone game given its spot.
I reckon they did that because they knew that channel Foxtel wouldn't have been able to show the game on the Saturday night, so they've put it on the Friday night. Conspiracy.
Oh,
X-Files.
Yeah, good one because there's no Saturday football, is there?
And they want dream time on the G to be shown.
They want dream time to be shown on Channel 7.
Exactly right. Have a look at this. Carlton versus GWS. You'd almost go as far to say whoever loses that game could struggle to make finals.
It's a big one. Yeah.
Hawthorn Brisbane. Imagine if Hawthorn lose another. 3 in a row. And Brisbane, what happens if they lose another? That's 2 out of their last 3.
Yeah, they drew the other game. Yeah.
And they drew the other one. North Melbourne versus Collingwood. Now, this is at Marvel. Not at the... If this was at the MCG, I wouldn't be phased. But I'm still concerned North Melbourne's backline is poo. But across the ground, I reckon they can take them in the midfield. And their forward line, Zerha was humming a little bit last week. Larkey hasn't had the same season he's previously had, so he's due. But Collingwood, you'd think that they'd be pretty confident in taking. But I'm interested in that because they've had some pretty good games over the last little bit. Here we go. The Fremantle plus versus the Kenny Killers. At Optus Stadium, 8:10 p.m. They couldn't even put that game late enough. They want that one to finish at 2 in the morning. Yeah. Are you going to win that?
It's so late. No.
No?
Based on what Freo bought last week, absolutely not.
Yep. Adelaide versus West Coast. Wouldn't be worrying about that too much. Melbourne versus Sydney. Both these teams are sitting on 4 wins and a game out. And depending on how results go, they won't be in, but they could be on equal points and outside by percentage after this week. So massively important game for both teams. And I've said it every week. The graveyard shift is almost becoming the penultimate because St Kilda versus Gold Coast. St Kilda will be playing at Marvel Stadium. They love playing there. Gold Coast, as we know, have had their issues travelling. This would be a game that Gold Coast would probably drop. Season's gone by. I know that you'll be wanting them to drop these type of games. Perfect game for them to come out and smack a St Kilda team that's hasn't been too crash hot recently, but potentially could drop it. Like that could be it. That could be the game that St Kilda comes out and stuns, which they've done once or twice already this year.
Yeah, well, Suns last time they played there, they lost by 3 points.
Yeah.
To St Kilda. So
Tommy Roker
Yeah.
reckons they're going to win by 100. That's confidence with a capital B.
this is the demons that St Kilda support. St Kilda supporters support, because you just go there going, we should win this game potentially at Melbourne, Suns don't travel, and we lose it. And yet you may go the other way and think we're going to get pumped by the Suns, and then St Kilda come out and kick 14 goals in the first half of 3, and you go, what the hell?
Yep. It is a 10-day break, though. So they've well and truly rested. But
Yeah, I don't know.
Strange thing. This has
That
been
can go either way for me.
This has been a 50-50 season so far this year. Yeah, there's a lot of 50-50 games here. We're talking like top 4, finals, even the bottom end of the ladder as well too. Cracking week of record footy. Right, before we finish up, there was one thing I wanted to bring up before we've got a couple of minutes. Succession plans. You mentioned about succession plans not working. The only ones that have worked, there's only been one that's worked, and one that's, when I say semi-worked, you'll know what I mean. The only one that's ever really worked was Ruse Goodwin.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one that worked. Because he was told he had pretty much 2 years that he would be the assistant and then take over. It wasn't 1 year. It was, I'm going to start, you're going to come in, you're going to learn it all, and then you're taking over. That was pretty much locked in, right? The only other one would have been when, and I could be wrong, when Rodney Eade left and Paul Roos took over. And there was going to be Terry Wallace in Sydney. And the fans kicked up a massive stink and said, no, we want Roos. We don't want Wallace. We don't want Wallace. We want Roos. Roos was given the job, and then we know what happened. They won a flag. But outside of that...
Great.
Yep, worked. But outside of that,
Well,
what other ones...
can I tell you why those ones worked, Peps?
Why is that?
The reason why they worked is with the Ruse one to Simon Goodwin, or to the Rodney Eade to Paul Ruse, Sydney have a strong culture, and Melbourne at that time had a very strong culture. That's why that worked. There was very much an alignment between both those coaches coming in and out. The club was very much unified at that point between all levels of board. We know what, at the time, the AFL did for Melbourne with that board and assigning those people, and he brought in his people, and that club was very well run at that time.
Yep.
And often, with that one there, the incumbent coach is often very well respected by the coaches. So Paul Ruse coming in, with Simon Goodwin coming in, often had worked at the club or had been around the club for a while. So very much respected by the players. But I do want to focus on a couple of why it doesn't work. And I think this is the same thing. We know that AFL is a performance-based industry, right? When this is announced, teams basically collapse. We've seen this. They make long-term plans become obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
An example of that was Ben Rutten and Don Worsfold completely fell apart on the field, and that club culture really deteriorated. When it comes to different leadership styles, they come with different ways they like to lead. Coaching philosophies, communication style, everything changes. What worked under one coach doesn't work under the other one typically. And so players just don't know what to do or respond.
Yep.
An example of that, Mick Malthurst versus the Nathan Buckley handover.
Perfect one.
Tension.
Yep.
Especially with Buckland began to reshape that list in that game plan. There was huge tension at that club. Kicked out all of those players. The Rat, what was it called? The Rat
Pack.
Squad. The Rat
Pack. Yep.
Rat Pack. Killed that. Board politics and board instability. Football clubs are not just football teams. They're political. They've got all of those stakeholders. They've got all of those board people. When things like that change, and someone who's especially important to the whole club, it can really derail those succession plans. The new president or CEO might not back a coach, and that just kicks them with performance dips.
Yeah.
And we know that with Melbourne, with Simon Goodwin. The board didn't know where to go with Simon Goodwin. There was spills, there was arguments, there was lots going on. Player buy-in to falter. That just They just don't get on. The coach is seen as dominant presence, and the outgoing coach leaves. The new coach has to come in and earn some respect, so there's a bit of buy-in issues.
Yeah.
And then finally, the biggest point of it all, there's a clear lack of authority. With both coaches at the club during that transitions, players can be confused about who's truly in charge. I come back to that Buckley Malthouse example there. Malthouse and Buckley escalated when Mick stayed on in that director role post 2011, undermining Buckley's early authority, that time to really build that with their players. Malthouse was still kicking around the fringes. So I just think that's just 4 reasons why I've given you an examples why succession plans tends to fail. Not always with examples, but majority fail.
Yeah, especially if they're 1 year. So at the end of this season, he will be leaving. They're the ones that you definitely say from a time frame perspective, don't work. Horst, Longmire, and Paul Roos, that one worked because Longmire had a couple of years. He virtually coached the same way that Roos did and had added his spin onto it. So it wasn't too much of a departure from what the players were learning. Other coaches have come in and just changed it. The other thing is that were these coaches ready to take over? Perfect example. When Lee Matthews finished up at Brisbane, Voss took over. Voss wasn't ready to coach, but they wanted to have Brisbane's favourite son be part of that and lead them to the next level, and it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So, like I said, for every club that gets it right, there's plenty more which don't get it right as well too. And you can even go as far as, I know it wasn't a succession plan, but when Sheedy left and Matthew Knights came in, Knights was a dead man walking from as soon as he was appointed, because he was always going to be seen as not Matthew Knights, but the person who took over from Sheedy. Yeah, we know how that went.
And 30 years or 20 years of coaching.
Yep, exactly right. So, it's just interesting that there's some players who say that, just because they're a good player doesn't always make them a good coach. And even Hawthorn and Clarkson, you can have a look at that situation and say, they handed it over to Mitchell. Well, the only reason that they took on Mitchell was because, remember, he was going to go over to West Coast to be an assistant. And Hawthorn said, no, let's get back. And so he was pretty much, even when they announced that, we knew that those two alphas were not being able to coexist. And they left.
And that's taken a hell of a lot of time for that to bear fruit. Because everyone's going, Mitchell can't coach, the list isn't there, all of that. It's only the last 2 years it's turned around.
And you'd say it did last year, but so far this year hasn't been what it was. But I will say Will Day is a massive loss there. Rightio. That's it, legends. That's it, superstars. It's lock up shop, final sirens rung, because we are going to wrap this one up. I'll be back with my tips last week. Got 6 out of 9. Didn't pick any of the 3 on Sunday. That's what sort of stuffed me up. Didn't even pick Melbourne. That's how much confidence I had them. It'll be a bit different this week, I must admit. But just remember, every Monday night, 8 p.m, for those who are joining us live on YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much. Everybody who tuned to us on the podcast host, thank you very much. And everybody who writes to us and be as part of the show, you are absolutely awesome. So, on behalf of myself, Christopher Pepper, 377-game superstar from the East Killer Football Club, and the great man, Jamie the Jdog Wallace, have a great week. And more importantly, Jdog, how did you want your football again?
Lace out, please.
That's how you want it, peeps. Have a great week. We'll see you next 8 p.m. Monday. Hopefully your team wins.
See you, listeners.